What's up, YouTube? Welcome to ExceedTheHype.com. It's your boy Lucrecio coming at you with another video. Alright, today's video is entitled The Top 5 Super Role Players in the NBA. And I know what you might be thinking. What exactly is a super role player? Where, in my opinion, you have your superstars, you have your stars. The superstars are the greats of the great current players. So your superstars are like LeBron, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook, those types of players. And then your stars are, you know, kind of the lower tier. Draymond Green is like a star. Who else? You know, Antetokounmpo right now is probably at a star level. He's going to go to superstar level pretty soon as he continues. You know, DeMar DeRozan, star level. You know what I mean? But the superstars are the elite of the elite, right? So if that concept works for stars, then it works for role players as well. You have your role players who play their roles on the teams who aren't necessarily the stars, but they do what they do and they do it well. And then you have a couple of them who stand at the top of the NBA and are the best role players. So in my opinion, I call those guys the super role players. All right, so these are the top 5 super role players in the NBA currently. All right, starting with, first of all, we have to give respect to the old timer. He was probably really high on this list for many years in a row as a sixth man or whatever. Jamal Crawford is somebody I consider a super role player for most of his career. Unfortunately, at this point in his career, because he's getting old, his career and his production is starting to go down. So I'll just give him an honorable mention on this particular video. All right. So starting with number 5, we have Eric Gordon. Now, Eric Gordon was one of those players. He was a high school blue chipper. He went to college at Indiana, was very outstanding at Indiana, was a high draft pick. You know, I believe as a rookie he did pretty good. I know he had some high averages in the 20s or whatever when he played for the Clippers. Everything was pointing to this guy, if he could remain healthy, that he would be a star player. Well, he got traded to New Orleans and it didn't quite work out like that when it comes to the stardom. So, but he still, like, now that he's got traded to Houston or whatever, he still has a lot. And you can see his game kind of in full bloom. Even though he does shoot mostly threes these days, but you can kind of see him going. He won 6th Man of the Year, and he's just one of the guys or whatever who are the best at what they do. And what he does is come off the bench and get buckets, right? So that's why Eric Gordon is number 5 on the super role players list, all right? Number 4, this guy has been around forever. George Hill. He has not ever really gotten the type of respect amongst the top point guards. He is very efficient. He always shoots a pretty good 3-point percentage or whatever. He's a very smart player, good playmaker. He just doesn't knock your socks off. He's just not your like exciting type player. He's not the super athlete like Russell Westbrook or whatever. He's not like he doesn't have the kind of court vision of a Chris Paul or whatever, who's like a superstar as a point guard or whatever. And he just doesn't have, you know, that X factor or the it factor, I guess you should call it. But he is very, very effective at what he does. Every year, his assist to turnover ratio is high or low, whichever one is good. He shoots a good percentage. He makes good decisions. He can run your team, you know, at their peak, basically. He could run up to their peak and have your offense flowing in the way that you want it to flow. If you want excellent point guard play, if you get George Hill, he can provide your team with excellent point guard play. That's why he's number 4 on my super point guards list, or super role players list. All right. Number 3, Jae Crowder of the Boston Celtics. Now, a lot of people are like, Jae Crowder, you know what I mean? Because he's not somebody that a lot of people pay attention to. But the guy is like 6'7", probably closer to 6'8" or whatever. Big guy, is very versatile defensively. He can shoot pretty good 3-point percentage at the same time. He's basically one of these glue guys who can be whatever you need him to be. If you need him to defend the best player, if you need to throw him at LeBron, you throw him at Kevin Durant or whatever, he won't stop them because nobody can stop those guys. But he's somebody that will accept the challenge and keep going at them. So defensively, as a, you know, defensive stopper or a defensive leader or whatever on your team, he is definitely one of the the best role players in the NBA. He's definitely a guy that if you add him to your team, you'll be adding a couple wins that just by adding him to the team. So Jae Crowder is my third super role player in the NBA. He won't ever get the credit, he won't ever get the admiration, all that stuff, but he's a guy, you put him on your team, he's going to contribute to winning because of what he brings to the table. All right, Jae Crowder. Number 2 was Jae Crowder's teammate. Now he's with the Pistons, and it's none other than Avery Bradley. Avery Bradley should probably be, in the discussion for Defensive Player of the Year every year. Every healthy year that he has, he should be in that discussion. By far, he is the best on-ball defender that we have in the NBA. So, Avery Bradley is, obviously a ferocious defender. He's a little undersized at 6'3" or whatever. But what he makes up for it in attitude, he makes up for it in aggressiveness, tenacity. He will get after you. Multiple players in the NBA have stated that he's the hardest matchup or whatever, the hardest person to have to go against or whatever at the guard position. And it's just because he's good, he gives that effort every night. Like, once again, he's another one of these players, he doesn't get his just due in the NBA. Like, nobody really pays attention to Avery Bradley or whatever. There's names, you talk about Kawhi Leonard, you talk about freaking Draymond Green, Rudy Gobert is starting to get into that conversation or whatever as a star. He'll probably be on the All-Star team next year or whatever the case may be. Avery Bradley most likely won't, but he is still the guy who gets the respect from the players and, from a lot of basketball fans too, from a lot of coaches, because he is an absolutely great defender, perimeter defender, or whatever the case may be. So Avery Bradley won't be an all-star, but is definitely a super role player, number 2 on the list. All right. Number 1 is none other than Cleveland Cavaliers' own Tristan Thompson. Now, Tristan Thompson, the idea of Tristan Thompson is basically what sparked the idea for this video. Because what do we call players who can really affect the game, who are not all-stars, who are not going to do the things that we notice, who are not going to go out there and score 25 points, who are not going to go out there and, dish out 13, 12 assists or whatever the case may be. Those guys who will just, have their part to play, and they play that particular part to perfection. These are the kind of guys that I looked at for this list. These are the kind of guys who sparked this list. And Tristan Thompson is that dude. When you talk about rebounding, when you talk about offensive rebounding especially, Tristan Thompson is the first name that has to come to your mind or whatever. We saw in the Eastern Conference Finals, and it's getting to the point where teams specifically have to game plan for Tristan Thompson. Think about how ridiculous that is. A team that has LeBron James, a team that has Kyrie Irving, and then on top of those two, a team that has Kevin Love out there. And one of your main game plans, one of your main people to stop, to try to control is Tristan Thompson. They were literally putting 3 people, boxing them out with three people. So 3 people were trying to find Tristan Thompson to get a body on him to keep him off the offensive glass. We saw sometimes similar types of game planning from the Golden State Warriors. So after losing a championship, one of the performances, 41 by LeBron, 41 by Kyrie Irving, all these different things that came at you that are reasons why you lost. But when you come back, one of the first things you notice them doing is aiming their defensive strategy or whatever at Tristan Thompson to keep him from being able to dominate the game on the offensive boards. That is the definition of a super role player. Somebody who won't get the headline, somebody who won't get the billboard, somebody who won't get the All-Star appearances, somebody who won't get the All-NBA nominations, somebody who won't get, Defensive Player of the Year or whatever. These guys won't get that type of recognition in the NBA, but their respect comes from how the defense plays them, or how the offense plays them, or whatever the case. When coaches and players or whatever develop a strategy based around a player who's not even a marquee on the billing, when they have to develop a strategy to stop Tristan Thompson from dominating the boards, that is your definition of a super role player. All right, Tristan Thompson is #1 on my list for super role players or whatever. All right, let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree with my list, if you think somebody else should be on there, who should come off the list in your opinion. If you like the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and see you next time. All right, comment.